Welcome to Untwist My Soul with not Pastor Marty today. I'm Matt Olin, and this is...
What's up, Matt? I'm Josh.
Good to meet you. Good
Nice
to meet you.
you.
Nice to meet all of you guys. Obviously, this is not how we typically do it. So, there's going to be a few changes today.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that, since they put us up here, this will probably be the best podcast we've ever done because it's me and you.
Yes, speaking like a true red. I was thinking, since Marty's not here, why aren't we doing this in a coffee shop or someplace a little more chill?
Now you're speaking like a green.
Yeah,
so,
yes.
I'm not sure that's going to work for me. Did you get my list, by the way, of the topics we were supposed to go over today? Or
I did. I didn't read it.
Okay. All right. Well. There went that.
If you're wondering what we're talking about, a couple weeks ago, Pastor Marty spoke about the book, I Said This, You Heard That by Kathleen Edelman. And it really talks about our different temperaments, which is different than our personality. It's about our innate wiring that God gave us and designed us with. And it was a great sermon. It broached a lot of good discussions, a lot of good questions. And this tomorrow, Wednesday night from 6:30 to 8, there's going to be a seminar, but with a further discussion on the subject of temperaments. And there was a workbook and some app with some videos to watch beforehand if you could make it. But if not, you can watch it afterwards. But there's a lot to do and a lot to discuss and a lot to unpack. And so that's kind of what this seminar is that's going to be happening tomorrow night. So
we've been doing this for a few months now on staff, and I'm still going back to my book and going, how do I really speak to this guy?
Yeah.
How is he going to hear me?
Yeah. When Marty spoke, he spoke about how this has impacted him, and he kind of glazed over the staff and kind of poked fun at most of us. But yeah, so another perspective, just from a couple staff members, when this was brought up, I don't know about you, but when it was first brought up to me, and I was like, oh, this is going to be cute, another assessment, and these things are cute, but really it's not going to do anything. But it's been one of the most impactful things that we've ever done.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
well, yeah, I was just wondering, how many personality tests we were going to take.
Yeah.
As a staff before I was totally sure who I was. And everybody knew who I was. But, it kind of seemed like, oh, this is another one of these things, like a DISC profile or, where I've taken this 100 times. I don't know that I'm going to find anything different about myself. But temperaments does seem to actually stick. Mm-hmm. I don't know. This other stuff doesn't really stick. It's like, oh, you should be able to work with this type of person and things. But I think one of the coolest things is the tools that they give you in this learning process. They're not just sticking you with a profile and saying that's who you are, good luck.
Yeah.
You actually get some tools to work through, okay, how does this person hear me? Mm-hmm. And it's really opened my eyes to just who I am as a person, and because sometimes in my head I feel like I come off differently than people perceive me. Mm-hmm. And so it's helped me to understand, okay, well, how is somebody else perceiving what I'm doing?
Yeah, I think that's the difference between this study and other, personality assessments and everything, is that this isn't just a self workbook. It really is, how do you see yourself? How do you need to know yourself? And then how do you see others as well?
Right.
How do you speak to others? How do you deal with others? So it's not just like, oh, I got to work on me. Right. It really is getting to know you and celebrate you, and then also getting to know others and celebrating others very naturally. Yeah. So that's kind of the thing that set it apart from other studies I've done.
Yeah, I think one of the things that really stuck out to me is, I've always been called a control freak my whole life. And so, that's not right, is it?
I don't remember saying that.
Yeah. But, to look and go, okay, well, now I can actually point and say, okay, this is the way that God made me. There are strengths and weaknesses to who I am. Maybe instead of seeing all my weaknesses as strengths, because that's what they are, I might actually look at them as weaknesses and try and work on some of them, and just understanding that, God's made each one of us. There is no wrong or right or perfect color. Has kind of opened my eyes to I can almost accept myself a little bit more in being who I am, and kind of, understanding why I do the things that I do or why I think the way I think. And then also just to have a softened heart as to why does Matt think the way he thinks? Why does Cheryl think the way she thinks? And understanding that kind of sits back and goes, oh, Matt's not trying to attack me by not reading my task list,
and I don't.
Being green, and that's okay,
And when Josh cleans off my entirely messy desk, it's not because it's just he's neat and orderly. Yeah, he's trying to help me. So no, that's been a huge thing I've noticed with our staff is that we are far more up front. We're just kind of like, I understand this is how you're going to see me, or I understand this is how you do things. Right. And so the way we've spoken to each other has changed around the office. I know, and speaking with others, just in our own personal lives, speaking with our spouses who've kind of taken the assessments as well and watched the videos and everything. For me, my son, speaking with my teenage son, has drastically changed from how it was.
So it's the videos, that comes free on the app when you download it. And so that's something you guys are going to want to watch before you come tomorrow night.
Yes.
Because it gives four temperaments in the room with the teacher, the trainer, and you can actually see how they laugh at themselves, they laugh at each other, and it really kind of gives you an open dialogue perspective to who they are and why they think the way that they think, and you can see the other minds, the other colors contemplating, going, I never looked at it that way. That's interesting, you know. So it's really cool that it's a free resource and it's something that you can laugh with.
Yeah.
I kind of looked at it first and I was like, oh gosh, 28, 30 minutes of a video. Who watches 30 minutes of a video anymore?
We have a 14 seconds attention span. Let's keep it short.
And there's nobody's playing. There's no live music. Yeah. It feels like a classroom. But no, the way that it's laid out, they start getting into it really quick, and you can really understand and just kind of get yourself enveloped in picking out your color first and go, I know that's me. And then having that person speak for you in that video, and kind of go, yes, that's the way I feel.
I know exactly.
Right.
Yeah, it's such a different. It's such a different route. Like I said, it's different than this self-help. It's. I guess the difference is you're not trying to change yourself.
Right.
That's the difference, I guess, between this and other workbooks or self-help books that I've seen and done in the past, is that this one is really getting to know and celebrate yourself, and celebrate others. Sure. And it's been so impactful, and just in conversation, just since 2 Sundays ago when Pastor Marty first brought this up, and talking with others who hadn't done the workbook, hadn't watched the videos yet, but already just with the little bit that they had gotten on Sunday, they were already having these amazing, like, that's why you are. Right. You're not a jerk. You're just.
I was sitting, as Marty's using me for most of the examples, but I was sitting watching the families near me. And they're pointing each other out. They're like, you this, and they're just laughing and having a good time because, and so that, I think that's the dynamic that is kind of missed when you take a personality test. You're kind of told what's wrong with you a lot of times, but the dynamic here is a little bit different in the fact that you can actually kind of laugh with each other through some of the hard parts, and through some of the fun parts. And so you do end up, I think, changing yourself in the sense that you're changing the way you approach somebody else. You're not asking them to change for you, and you're not trying to force them into your color, into your temperament. You're really kind of going, okay, if I want to get the most out of Matt, or if I, really need something from Marty, this is how I probably need to, approach this. And it's really opened up, I think, the conversation at work here. And softened, I think, even our hearts, to who each other is, noticing and knowing that we each have strengths, and being put in the positions that we're in, we're strong in those positions. We're there for a reason. And a lot of that has to do with our temperament, because that temperament is kind of what brings about our talents, our gifts, the things that God has given us, which is pretty amazing. So tell me a little bit, if you don't mind, about like how it affected the relationship between you and Messenger.
Yeah, so I have a teenage son, Messenger, and so when I took the test, I came out green. My son took the test, and he came out yellow. And it wasn't a matter of like, oh, he's a kid, so yeah, he wants to be fun or whatever. He actually came out yellow. when I got to towards the back of the workbook, and it talked about the needs and the ways that when we talk to each other, the ways we treat each other will tear us down or build us up in different ways.
Yeah.
All of the things, and I love the way you said, force somebody else into their color.
Right.
That's what I had been doing for the entire parenting,
Sure.
was forcing my son to be my color.
Right.
Like, no, calm down, do this. Why do you have to do that? Why are you acting like that? Get over that. Stop.
Right.
And not listening. So myself being a green, I don't need eye-to-eye contact.
Sure.
I can talk, I can whatever.
Right, we're
I'm
gonna be
fine.
all
I'm casual. I don't need it. I love being around people, but I don't need constant
Right,
attention. Whereas my son, he needed that. So the daddy, look at me. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? Can't you just be like me?
Yeah.
No, he can't, because that's not who God designed him to
Right.
be. God designed him this way. And he has certain strengths that I don't. And I need to celebrate that. And so now when he's like, Dad, I really have to pay attention. Like, he really needs me to stop what I'm doing and give him full attention.
Right.
He needs me to listen to his stories. I don't like listening to any teenager's stories, but it's important that I do. And so
That's
I have
right.
to sit and listen. And likewise, something that as a green, I was like, oh my gosh, like that's me exactly. I hate being interrupted,
Right.
especially at home. Absolutely hate it. And so now if somebody interrupts me, like a yellow's like completely interrupts me, I can say, bud, calmly. So instead of yelling at him, like, why'd you interrupt me? That you just disrespected me. Now I can say, hey, bud, you know that's part of my temperament.
Sure.
You know that really crushes me
Right.
when you interrupt. I know you don't have a problem with it.
Right.
If I interrupt you or
Sure.
whatever, but for me, that's really soul crushing. And so we can have this much calmer dialogue. So that was huge.
That's huge. Yeah. I know for me and Betsy, my wife, we in going through this process, again, she's taken plenty of assessment tests, personality tests at work and all of that. You got the stuff hanging around your cubicle, who you are and, what everybody should do about you and all this other stuff, which is pretty much like, just stay away.
Yeah.
A lot of times, right? Just
leave me alone.
Don't
I
want
need
trouble,
coffee. Yeah.
Don't come into this cubicle.
Yeah.
Kind of thing is what it starts to feel like, right? But no, her and we've gone through, and I won't share everything, but we've gone through a process of her being able to actually share some things about herself that I don't think she was even aware of. That she was like, hey, I guess I do act like this, and I could kind of come back and go like, yeah, and so now you see why it makes me feel like that, or whatever that is. And so there's a conversation about what would normally cause hurt, and that's a lot different, because the conversations that normally cause hurt end up in anger a lot of times, right? Or throw the toys down and leave. I'm done. I'm not playing with you. And instead, it's been a little bit, kind of gratifying in the sense of like, wow, we can actually talk through something, and instead of getting so deep into our bad habits, our weaknesses, that it shuts us off from each other. And so some of these things, in learning about another person's temperament, you end up just developing a little bit of, like, I've found myself developing a place in my heart that is more caring about somebody else, somebody else's temperament. And therefore more caring about them. Because when I look now and I sit and I go like, well, why can't I get David to actually do anything for the youth group? No, I could sit there and go, oh, you know what? That's why he needs me. That's why I'm on the team. That's why God placed me here, is, I can be that driving force for him. Now, I need him to be fun, you know what I mean? Because I can sit here and just go task, and there's nothing fun about it for a lot of people. So, I need him to bring his aspect and his temperament to it. And but just that softness of like, oh my gosh, that is how we work together to make a whole.
And we were talking about this earlier, that this has been a big kind of shift in how we're approaching the different ministries, how we're approaching our volunteers, especially. Now it's not just like, okay, we need all the volunteers we can get. Can we just get somebody to help in the sound booth?
Right.
Now it's, there's a specific kind of person that we really want in there. And it's not manipulation. It's really, again, going back to you're built a certain way, and we want you to thrive in that.
Yeah, and that's huge, because I think that a lot of times, as we have volunteers saying, hey, I want to help, they have a specific thing in mind. They're like, we want to help with this. And what's funny is that sometimes you get a person in the wrong seat. I've heard that in business forever.
Oh,
Right
sure.
person, right seat. But how do you figure that out beforehand? Because you don't want to go down this path of, hey, let's stick you in a place where you're not thriving. God is not, he's got nothing in your heart telling you should be doing this. You just needed a seat to fill, and we had one. So we're just going to throw you in wherever we need you. And instead, this is going to help us actually kind of drive you into a right place. Like, I want some yellows at the front door saying hi to me when I walk into church. You know what I mean? I don't want some reds because they're going to be running around like chickens with their head cut off trying to get things done, right? But I want somebody who's going to talk. I want somebody who's going to welcome me in. And so, and at the sound booth, things like that. We want maybe a blue, somebody who is attention to detail and looking for some perfection and order and things like that. For the green guys, we want those people talking to people. We want them sitting down and counseling, right? I mean,
yes.
Working through.
I don't want a big list of things to do. Can somebody just come up and like, can we sit for coffee? Oh my gosh,
that's
yes,
right.
let's just do that.
And you have probably had some of the better interactions, just literally just discussing life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just sitting down and just going, because I know that you're the guy I can come to and we can have that conversation. I wouldn't necessarily feel that way about everybody, because I know that they're driven a different way. So, it's really important, I think, that, whether you got the book or not, Wednesday night is going to be so awesome to see and be a part of here at the Worship Center, at Anthem Community Church. And,
and it will not be live stream, just in case you're like, well, I'm not going to make it, but I'll watch the live stream. It will not be live stream. So we really do encourage you to come. Childcare is available, but we want to make sure that we have enough volunteers, the right volunteers, to watch kids. So, please register those. You can find all the information for that on our website, ouracc.org, ouracc.org. Right there, there's a link, and it has the trailer for the video that kind of goes over the whole study, shows kind of a preview of the app and the videos on the app. On that link on our website, there's a link to the book that you can purchase online on Amazon or other places. Download, or a link to the app to download that, and a link for the childcare registration. Cool. So that's tomorrow night from 6:30 to 8. Hope you come. It's gonna be fantastic. Like I said, the conversations that I've already had just since 2 Sundays ago have been phenomenal. So I'm really encouraged to see what kind of things are spoken about and asked, here on Sunday. So
and knowing the feel for Wednesday night, bring your questions. You know what I mean? If you've got anything that you're kind of misunderstood or just don't know about, or how do I deal with a spouse? How do I deal with a child? How do I deal with a friend or a coworker? Bring those questions, and I'm sure we can walk you through that, because we're pretty well versed in it now, where I think, a lot of us on staff can look at somebody and go, oh, they're a yellow, they're a green. And we start approaching every single person completely differently.
And it's kind of a weird thing, because you don't want to feel like you're labeling people, but it's not labeling people. It's really seeing who God designed them to be. It really is like, I get you now. You're not a jerk. You're not a you're not a bossy pants. You're not a lazy person.
Are you saying I'm not a control freak?
No, thanks, you're not. You're a task guy, and we need you. Otherwise, I'm not getting anything done. I will be 3 weeks late on everything. So we need that. So
you do make some mean coffee, though.
Yes.
So that's a good thing.
Greens can make good coffee. Greens make good coffee. But awesome. So we encourage you guys. Another big update. So we've been doing these podcasts almost every Tuesday afternoon. We're actually going to switch it. So starting next week, the podcast, same time, 2:00, 2:00 in the afternoon. But it's going to be on Wednesdays. So Wednesdays on 2:00 in the afternoon. If you miss it live, that's okay. We have them posted on our website and on our app. You can download them and you can watch them later. So we encourage you to go back and check those out. Yeah. Hopefully next week we won't have construction. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but we got some building going on. But it's for your benefit. We're gonna have some AC going, so it's gonna help our cafe team. So, but we thank you guys for tuning in, for watching, and we look forward to seeing you hopefully tomorrow night.
Awesome.
All right. You guys have a good day.